Welcome to Authentic Hustle number 7, guys. Number 7. I wasn't sure what to expect or what I expected when we started this show, but I have to say I'm really excited about what it is becoming. It's been a heck of a journey so far, and I really love the fact that we can kind of just show up here and have a genuine, authentic conversation, be ourselves, share real life challenges. Because I think, for a lot of us high performers, entrepreneurs, stuff like that, we really do try to show the best of ourselves all the time. We talked about that last week, and we were talking about it. Can you actually be authentic? And the reason we were talking about that is because I think for a lot of the world and a lot of jobs, we're forced to put a brave face on for the world. And so I love that we can kind of show up here, share the real life challenges, talk about it for what it really is. And, I just want to say it's an absolute pleasure doing this show with each one of you, incredibly accomplished individuals in your own right. And I absolutely love that we can show up here and have this conversation. And I appreciate you all. So before we start today's show, I just wanted to start with a bit of appreciation and say thank you for showing up and doing this. It's been an incredible experience so far. And I look forward to continuing to do it with you as we move forward.
I'll take a little hug.
For those of you tuning in for the very first time, welcome. This is Authentic Hustle. What is Authentic Hustle? Well, right now we're 3 entrepreneurs. 2 of us are podcasters. 1 soon to be a podcaster. I am very confident. We're working on them. And we just show up and chat about life. And it can be politics. It can be entrepreneurship. It can be personal challenges. We don't really hold back on anything on Authentic Hustle. And we try to come, like I said, as genuine as humanly possible. So every week we show up. We bring a topic. Nobody knows what the topic is. We're going to have guests. It's going to be a great time. We hope that you continue to come and show up with us. The show will be live at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time every Wednesday for the foreseeable future. Let's just get into it, guys. Today, I wanted to talk about something that I don't know how to talk about, to be honest. This is kind of an interesting one because I wasn't really sure how to approach it. And I talked about it yesterday in the business development podcast a little bit when I was talking about what to look for in a business development rep in 2025 moving forward for my business owners out there who are looking to hire people. But one of the things that kind of came up was intrinsic motivation, right? Intrinsic motivation, I genuinely think it's a bit of a hidden superpower in business developers, entrepreneurs, people that are motivated for something outside of themselves. And like I said, the idea came from this week's show where it did come up and I wasn't really sure how to quantify it. Even in the show, I was like, you need to look for people who are intrinsically motivated, but what does that mean? So I did a little bit of further depth in this, and I am incredibly intrinsically motivated as an individual. I don't know why, but I have hated losing my whole life. I hate losing. And I get it. As an entrepreneur, we're supposed to lose quick, lose fast, move forward. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I totally get it. But I hate losing. I genuinely do. And that has driven me to succeed in so many areas of my life. I got a quote here, a definition here from healthline.com on intrinsic motivation because I had to dive deeper into this. And the definition for intrinsic motivation is this: intrinsic motivation comes from within, while extrinsic motivation arises from the outside. When you're intrinsically motivated, you engage in activity solely because you enjoy it and get a personal satisfaction from it. When you're extrinsically, my mouth doesn't want to work. When you're extrinsically motivated, you do something in order to gain external reward. This can mean getting something in return, such as money, or avoiding getting into trouble, such as losing your job. A statistic that I found is really interesting. Research by management consulting firm McKinsey revealed that when employees are intrinsically motivated, they show 46% higher levels of job satisfaction and 32% greater levels of commitment to their jobs. And at the same time, they're a lot less likely to experience job-related burnout, which means that all employees are a lot more likely to want to stick around with an employer if they love their job, if they're intrinsically motivated. And one of the questions that I kind of wanted to bring up today was, Do you guys think that intrinsic motivation is the only key factor that kind of separates top business development people, top entrepreneurs from the rest? How, in your minds, can it be cultivated? Because I'll be honest, I don't know where my intrinsic motivation comes from. And obviously, once again, why do some cultivate it? And maybe why do some people really struggle with it? Guys, I know it's like a tough topic. I know there's no real way to quantify this one, but I wanted to talk about it because I think it really is a key separator in high performance individuals. Who wants to take it on first?
I'll do it. Yeah, I can do it right now or after Colin. But I mean, man, like this whole entrepreneurial journey. I mean, it's. I'll tell you. I mean, the harsh truth is, it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, even though from the outside it looks as shiny and glossy as it is, it is not for everyone, because you have to wake up every day, be positive. Like Colin mentions about blue sky thinking, and you have to be motivated to go the extra mile. Keep going. I mean, I just posted a post yesterday. I mean, if February didn't make it, I mean, there's still March, April, and May, maybe, because it's kind of like you have to have that kind of motivation to keep going. There's no other alternative, because you're on this journey by yourself, and you cannot wait for anyone to like impress upon you or inspire you. I mean, here's the reality, guys. I mean, some days you will not have the motivation. That's a fact. You will not have the motivation, but still you got to do what you got to do. You still got to show up, right? I mean, Kelly, you talk about showing up a lot. I mean, that means, it's like things like, what is that? Like move the needle, things like that. It means a lot, actually. I mean, so you got to push yourself. You got to have the willingness to do it. So Elon says it often, like the whole entrepreneurial journey is like eating glass and staring at the abyss. It is like that on many days of the year. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I don't know where that drive came from for me, guys. Like, as an employee, I'll be honest, I was not a great, intrinsically driven person. I really was extrinsically motivated. And when I became an entrepreneur, when it was like my baby, my world, my reputation, it was like a switch flipped. And suddenly I loved working. I still to this day love working. Like, it's dangerous for me. I love working that much. I could work all day long. I could sit down in my office and I could do content creation. I could do business development stuff. Like, I could do podcasting all day long. I absolutely love my life. But now it's weird because I almost found that, like, I have to force myself now to take a step back and really take that break, because I am so intrinsically motivated to succeed within my own business, for my clients, for my coaching clients, things like that, right? So, and for myself, of course. So, but where did that come from? I guess the question for me was it always there? And I just needed that one thing. I needed it to be my baby. I needed it to be my reputation and my willingness to succeed that brought it out. Like, I guess the question here is this: if intrinsic motivation is that powerful, if you can get, 50% higher job satisfaction, people that are that much more driven to succeed on behalf of your business, what does that mean for your business? It's huge, right? But how do we cultivate that within people when it's not their baby?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. I read a post this morning that said, most successful people I've met aren't that smart. They move fast, they take risk, they work a lot. That's it. And I read it and I saved it. And then I commented, I just said, it's amazing what happens when we just keep going, shift on the fly, and simply don't stop. Right. And I think I've talked about it before, but I use the phrase shift on the fly quite often, almost in everything that I do, because what do? We hit a slippery road, we shift on the fly, right? We push a button, we turn a dial, like Vijay said, is we're turning that dial. We're dialing it up, we're dialing it down, whatever it may be. We're just trying to control the situation. And that's like when you touched on entrepreneurship, for sure, whether it's intrinsic or somebody's, like you're saying, how do you motivate those people, right? I think we can create entrepreneurship within a business, right? If we actually allow people that we're hiring to be autonomous somewhat, right? We've done the interview. We believe that they bought into our culture, whatever that may be, into our business, into our purpose. That's the intrinsic value that they're bringing to the table, right? And then we're giving them that autonomy to function in that. That's that entrepreneurial spirit within an organization. I think the term entrepreneurship gets thrown out there and may scare people, right? Because you hear the people, the dragons or the sharks or whatever say, well, are you still working? Yeah, I still have a mortgage. I still have to put fuel in my car. And they say, well, if you're not all in, I'm out, right? Well, that's a little harsh, right? And the same thing goes in there is, how do you say to an employee, are you all in? This is kind of, Kelly, I think what you're getting at. Are you all in to my business?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, what's in it for them, right? So I think how do we add intrinsic value is prove to them what's in it for them, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's hard, right? It's a hard topic.
Yeah, it really, really is. I guess like one of the questions I have is, I think you touched on something really important to the whole mix. And that is, do they have enough responsibility and autonomy to build that intrinsic motivation within themselves, right? Because I think when you give people a challenge and you say, hey, here's what we want to accomplish. I value you as a person. I value your intellectual capacity and what you can contribute to this project. I'm not going to get in the way. Here's the outcome we need to work towards. It's a team effort, but I want you to figure out how to do this. And the responsibility lies on you to reach out if you need that support. Do you think that potentially responsibility and autonomy are the secret to cultivating intrinsic value, or like maybe a sense of accomplishment within that individual, that it was them that did it? And because it was them that did it, they're more bought in?
I do 100%. Right. It's people. You can give a monetary incentive to somebody and that lasts for a short moment. But if you give a responsibility and they have wins with those responsibilities, I think those go a lot further than a tiny monetary value, because the monetary value, when you hire somebody, you're going to have a performance evaluation. You're going to have different levels, that type of thing. That's preset in motion, right? That's if you want to call it KPIs or whatever they are.
Yeah.
That's already preset in motion. So the rest of it is, let's give them a responsibility, and they can have, they don't have to be tiny wins. They have wins all day long, right? And I think that's the incentive to bring that value to the table. And at the end of the day, just for myself, when I go home, I want to feel like I added value, right? To a situation or to a person, to whatever. And that's kind of who I am, right? I love to add value. And I think if we look through our glasses at somebody else, I think that's all they want to do too, right? They get to work and they want to add value.
I just want to add one more point in terms of like many people, I mean, like they go through their midlife career. I mean, when they are like in mid 30s or like late 30s or whatever the age, they get into that question, right? What am I going to do? What am I going to do next? I think that everyone gets a question. I think one book I think that was very useful from a career point of view is the Patrick Bet-David's The Next 5 Moves. I highly recommend that book. It's called The Next 5 Moves from Patrick Bet-David. He talks about, because not everyone is built to be an entrepreneur, right? I mean, what it takes to be an entrepreneur, you should be ready to go out there, put yourself out there, talk to people, build those connections, build those relationships. I love it. I mean, like for me, like I think that is one reason I also do the podcast. I mean, I love talking to people, and the people aspect of the whole business thing, I love it, right? So, and it's not for everyone, right? It's not everyone is comfortable going and meeting people and talking to people. They're simply not. So what PBD talks about is like, I mean, if they are adding value and they can bring a lot to the table, they could be entrepreneurs instead of entrepreneurs. They could be an entrepreneur within an organization as an entrepreneur. I think that could be a switch for people to be able to contribute and also gain value from the company. I mean, if it's not their own baby kind of thing, they could be rather an entrepreneur instead of an entrepreneur. Yeah.
One of the questions that I kind of have regarding this is, if they're not intrinsically motivated, are they bought in? Right? Like, we need our employees to be behind our mission, vision, and values. One of the things I really talked about in my episode yesterday of the BDP was you really need your business development specialists to be bought into the company. They have to believe in the company. They have to believe in the mission and vision. They have to believe that the products and services that they represent are beneficial to their clients, right? And I always say the moment that there's a disconnect there, that you no longer believe, or there's a trust issue between the company and the BDR, it has to be that you guys have to go your separate ways, because you need your business developers to be 110% bought into the company to perform at the level that you need them to perform at. I guess the question that I kind of have regarding intrinsic motivation is it an indicator that they're simply just not bought in if they're not intrinsically motivated?
I think I think you hit the nail on the head. They are, right. They're just motivation and inspiration kind of correlate together. You can't have one without the other, I guess. But that's exactly it. If they're not bought in, they're not bought in, and that's not their problem. That's your problem, right? That's my problem, because that's the whole culture craze or whatever you want to be. If we haven't developed that or brought that to the table, right, we're expecting them to. And I really like what Vijay said. I actually haven't heard that word for a long time, entrepreneur. I've heard it, but I haven't really concentrated on it. And I think I need to. I think that might help my mindset a little bit on the employee side of it. Is we can have entrepreneurs inside of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And I really like that. I've never heard it that way. So Vijay, thanks for that again. That's a good point for me.
It's a great book. I loved it. It's a great book. I mean, having the motivation. I mean, I've sat in many of these one-on-one meetings with supervisors in terms of like from an organization point of view. And I mean, to be very honest, some supervisors are really great, but some are the extreme opposite as well. I mean, they just do not understand where the person is coming from. They just do not understand the other perspective. All they're trying to stifle someone on their throat is like, oh, here's the organization goals, let's go meet it. And right. And when you're in an organization, you would have met like 998 of the goals, but there would be 3 or 4 or 5 goals which you wouldn't have met.
Yeah.
I mean, no. So, I mean, like it's, I don't think it's like only you can think for yourselves. You're your best judge, and making life decisions based on another person. They're also just as human as you are. You make mistakes. They also make the mistake. Just understand that. And for me, it took a while to understand. Now I was like, okay, fine. The teacher told, the supervisor said, I got to do it. Right. So it took a while for me to even understand, okay, fine. They can also make mistakes. So approach it from that point of view, and then approach it from a human point of view. Then I think you'll be able to be a better decision maker, and also try to figure out what do you really want. Right. It kind of like a self-discovery its own. For me, it was. I don't know about others. For me, the whole journey was self-discovery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I was just
go ahead,
Colin. I was just going to say, I want to wrap this up because, we want to get into your guys' topics as well here. But I think just to close it off, I just wanted to kind of say, Colin, if you want to inspire your employees, if you want to get them to buy into what you're doing at HyperVac, what would you do? What are the actions that you take in order to get buy-in from your employees? I think that might be able to, spark some ideas that people could have to inspire intrinsic motivation within their own staff or within themselves.
And you know what I do? I don't have all the answers. I have a answer. Is one thing we do here is we're really in tune with the different social media platforms and different forums for our industry. And that's where people will crucify you or they'll put you on a pedestal real quick. And you can have both of those in one day. But what happens is we get a lot of shout outs, and we try to go the extra mile, right? No matter what we do. And unreasonable hospitality. We're trying to do that in our industry. And we're putting quite a decent allotment of funds towards that. So when we get shouted out or something like that, or we get a lot of videos back from customers, we go and show our staff, right? And we say, this is you. This isn't us, right?
Yeah.
You built this. You did this. And I think it's that satisfaction. You can see it in their face
Yeah.
Right. And we don't wait for a meeting. We don't wait. It's when I see it, I go out and I show them. Right. And I go, this is what you worked on. You did this. And the power of that is, we're in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada, and this guy's in Atlanta, Georgia, right? Or he's in Louisiana, or he's in Arizona. It's not like they're down the street, right?
Yeah.
Most times it's an odd business because we essentially sometimes never meet our customer.
Yeah.
Right. We've sold them on a couple $100,000 unit. They've never seen it until it arrives. And then, like, I have a video right now that the guy sends me a video on WhatsApp, and he just says, "Oh my God." He's like, "It's beautiful. Like, it's beautiful. Like, I can't even imagine it." And then the second truck came in. I just can't believe this. And we have played that one over and over and over for staff. Everybody that touched that product right through the sales process, right? Because we said, this is that intrinsic value, right? How do we get them from the guy that cut the metal to the powder coater to, the company that transported it for us? So, of course, in Colin's style, that's the long, short story.
Yeah. So you're showing them the results of their work, that the results of their work are ultimately having a massive beneficial impact to your customer, which creates pride in their work, right? I can do something incredible, which I think is intrinsically motivating.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
BJ, how about you with Zadwell? How do you inspire and motivate your team?
I mean, like when we are looking at, there's remote teams that we work with. Our team is based off India. I mean, most of our software development base is in India. So, you got to work with the person. Like sometimes I'm sitting late at night, 4 hours, 5 hours, or early in the morning, doesn't matter what time. And I think empathy goes a long way in terms of understanding, hey, there's something coming up. I might have to run a little bit early. And all things happen because, like, life happens. Doesn't matter if they're in India or anywhere, life happens. And I think that goes a long way. Oh, it's my mom's birthday tomorrow. Okay, wish her birthday. I think in terms of putting myself in their shoes, I kind of like goes a long way as far as I've seen. And in terms of like building, especially when, like, I'm lucky to have my own friend who grew up with me, and like I know him for 23 years. He's my partner in India. We get along easily, but it's a team. They are new people, and it's getting them along, understanding them, what do they really want, and how aspirational they are, and then try to. I think the more conversation that we have about their aspiration, they love it. Yeah, I've seen that actually time after time. Mm-hmm. Hey, you could grow into this role as a leader and then probably help the future engineers, things like that. And conversations like that, they love it. So I try to put myself in their shoes and have that empathetic conversation with them as much as possible. And I think that's, I'm learning, man. Like, so that's what I do. Yeah.
No, I think I'm seeing the unifying trend here. And in my mind, the unifying trend is you have to have pride in what you do. If you have pride in what you do or the results of your work, you will be intrinsically motivated to continue. So maybe that's it. Maybe the secret is we have to learn how to foster pride within ourselves and within our people. And if we can foster pride, we can get massive increases in efficiency out of our people and out of ourselves.
Yeah.
For sure.
I love it. Let's leave off there. That's great. Colin, lead us into yours.
All right. What I want to talk about is likability, right? And with that, I'll just tell you what that's about, is how a genuine connection can elevate your career, right? Your career, your business, your personal life, whatever that may be. I live in a world of, I want to be happy every day. That's my blue sky. I want to bring that into my business. I want to bring that into every conversation. It's actually hard for me to be, I'm fine in a serious meeting. Right. I enjoy them and I take a lot from them, but I think we can have serious topics and still have fun. Right. Yeah. And still make it enjoyable. So this is what I had written down. In today's fast-paced and competitive landscape, technical skills, qualifications, and undoubtedly important. They are undoubtedly important. However, one overlooked factor that can influence your career is likability.
Yes.
Right. So if you walk into a room, you can tell right away, right? Is somebody closed? Like I've read some things on In my real estate world, this could ruffle some feathers, but 8 out of 10 people have a picture like this where they're standing with their arms crossed. Well, they're close. They're close
Yes.
to you. It's
That's
immediately showing that they're close to you, right?
Yeah.
But I think a photographer never took the communication course because they all say, "Oh, that's a great pose," right? Right? I'm not open to conversation. I'm not open to whatever you have to offer. That type of thing.
Could it also mean a strong negotiator, though?
Well, if you're the president of the United States, maybe. No, I do understand what you're saying, but I think you will find more clients, or that you will attract more to you if you're open.
Sure.
Right? There for sure. If you're a lawyer, maybe that's your pose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I feel like every billboard I see with a lawyer has that pose.
Right? Especially if you're a divorce lawyer.
Yeah.
Right? But honestly, I think if the skill of likability, Kelly, I think we chatted about it before too, is how did you say it can't be learned?
Yeah,
Right?
I don't think it's easy to teach. I think
Right.
I think likability, and that's why, like, honestly, I put it as the base
Right.
foundation for great business developers, because nobody can teach you how to be likable. That's something you have to be raised in. You have to like cultivate likability within yourself through life experience, right?
Right.
Every other skill in business development can be taught, but I cannot teach you to be likable. I guess I can try, but it's kind of one of those things. You either are or you aren't.
Well, and you know what? I think just in communication, let's say you were a person that this is how you are, right? You fold your arms and that's how you talk to people.
Yeah.
If you could have a conversation with them, an open conversation where it just said, hey, like maybe it's kind of like, hey, let your hair down, right? Hey, let your arms down type of thing.
Yeah.
I think without being forceful, I don't think we have to be forceful. That can open doors to people, right? They might find their conversations are more open, right? I'm not Italian, but I think I am because I talk with my hands all the time, right? And my hands are always moving, but I do find that I'm very open with people, and I don't have a problem whether I meet them at a table or sit down at a gala or at any conversation. I don't have a problem with that. Or let's use an airplane. You sit down and it's always awkward, right? And you sit down beside somebody, and they don't want to talk, and I do.
And then it's a long flight.
I'm like, this might be the shortest relationship you ever have. It could be 3 hours, or it could be 8. But you are going to talk to me by the time we're done, right? So, but I think, like, I wrote down a couple points, like the importance of likability in the workplace, right? Whether I'm the employer or I'm an employee, I don't think it's healthy to walk around on pins and needles.
No.
And a lot of people do. Like, I have bad mornings. I have bad days. Shit happens. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
But it's am I going to allow that to affect my day? Like, I can promise you one thing, 95% of the people that surround me, whether it's through communication on the phone or video or in person, will have no idea if I had a bad morning.
Yeah.
Right? They just won't. Right? Well, Kelly, actually, you do. You can pull it out of me.
Yeah.
You've noticed when I've had a bad time.
Well, it's because I've known you for a long time now, right? Like, I know when I'm talking to you and you're having a great day, and I know when I'm talking to you and you're having a shit day. It's all in your tone, man.
True, right? But I'm sure you can attest to 95% of the time, it's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, even creating network opportunities, right? Everything's about networking, right? Bringing people into your sphere or entering another sphere. That's the two options we have. I think being likability is a crucial role, right? If you're not likable, especially people say, well, you're networking. Well, you're not. It's not networking if you know everybody, right? It's networking when you don't know people. So that introduction, I think, is a crucial part of our everyday networking. And that's something I have to do to expand my business, regardless of which business I'm operating in at what time of the day or what day it is.
Yeah.
That's something I have to do. I can always improve on other things, but that's one thing that I think I was just born with. And, that makes me happy. I don't have to try at it.
Yes. Yes. Well, and that's it. It's like, if you have to fake being likable, right? That's who you are.
Yeah.
Maybe an outward facing position where you have to create relationships isn't for you, right? Like, and I don't want to say that. I want everybody to be able to make friends and live life. But it's funny. I have like one of my best friends. We talked about this earlier. One of my best friends. I told him early on, I'm like, hey, I'm doing this thing called business development. It's awesome. I love it. Like, you should try it. You'd really like this. And he looked at me and he's like, Kelly, I don't like people. I'm not a likable person. And I was like, fair, fair. We get along, but you're absolutely right. You can be a dick sometimes. So here we go. Right. Like, this isn't for you. So I genuinely think like there's people and that's just not for them. Right. He's an electrician. He doesn't have to talk to anyone.
Yeah. You know what it is though? I think when we're dealing with other people is, years ago, I took a John Maxwell course. This is how long ago? It was CDs, right? It wasn't DVDs, it was CDs.
Yeah.
Anyway, and it was Maxwell Leadership. And I remember learning from there, one of the things was, it's called What's Your Sound, right? So I'll give you an example. So VJ, maybe you like classical music, and I come in the room and you're playing classical music, and right away I'm like, oh, what's that? What's that noise, right? As opposed to, trying to appreciate that VJ might like classical music. Or Kelly, I'm sure you like hard rock, I think.
I do. I love some hard rock.
I love both, actually.
But instead of me looking through, how he put it, stained glass windows, right? If I'm looking through stained glass all the time at somebody else or what their perspective is, or if I'm trying to say, hey, you got to read this entrepreneur book, but I'm saying it to, like you just said, like just somebody that's a structural engineer, right? It's probably not that exciting, but if I take interest in what they're doing, right, and I become I'm not trying to, but I become that person where I become likable and I appreciate what they're doing. So you like classical music, great. Let's listen to it. Tell me why you like it, right? Maybe I'll start to like it. Like one thing, I have a friend of mine. He absolutely cannot stand coffee house music, and and I know that, so I play it all the time when he's around. So I love, but I like it. It's like you're in Starbucks all the time, right? But that's good for my mind. It opens my mind and it makes me feel good. Somebody else might not like that, but that whole thing in our whole life, right? What is it that their sound, right? What's your sound? And I think that if we listen to what somebody else's sound is, whatever it may be, not music, but their sound, I think we become more likable too. Right? They're like, oh, they're open to me, right?
Okay.
And that's where one person will say you have to wear a suit to be respected. Well, I'm wearing a hoodie, and I met with a lawyer this morning in their office, and she came in and she's wearing lawyer wear. Right? Whatever.
No. I'm hearing the term first time, Colin.
and I'm in their big room, all I had to do is sign a piece of paper. But we had a great conversation, right? And I think she actually laughed.
Yeah.
Right. But we're two different types. But I'm in their world and I'm respecting that, right? But that doesn't mean I have to come wearing a suit.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't have one, so I couldn't.
Yeah.
But if you appreciate that, right? It's still, I need to see through their glasses why they're in that position or what they're doing. But you know what? At the end of the day, I don't know if she likes me or not. But,
I don't even know. You know what? Hey,
we know.
While we're on the tangent,
I assume she did.
While we're on the tangent of clothes, really quick, I just want to chat about this. When I started my sales career, right, you had to dress nice, right? Like you had to have the button-up tie and the shirt and like the dress pants, man. Like I feel like the further I've gone in my journey, the less I want to wear. Like I think I'm gonna end out of entrepreneurship wearing like sweatpants and a hoodie. I feel like the benefit of like getting higher and higher and higher in respect is that you can wear, comfier and comfier clothes.
Well, and you know what? You're not wrong, because in a different world, but Steve Jobs started that, right? Black T-shirt, And that's what he wore every day. Then Zuckerberg did the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think Steve Jobs said it was because he's so productive, he doesn't have to use his brain power to pick what shirt he's going to wear that day. Right.
Yeah.
So he had 7 black shirts. So the odd part is, which really bugs my wife, is I started to do stuff like that. Right. Well, I'll just buy 5 of these because I really like this shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But it was easy for me. But I think those are the things people start to notice. Right. Maybe I repel people, but that's okay, because that's another thing that doesn't bother me. Right. But I don't want to spend a whole bunch more time. I'll give you a couple more points though. Right. One's called the science of likability. Research in psychology has shown that people are generally drawn to those they find likable. Studies indicate that likable individuals are more persuasive, influential in both personal and professional settings. Key traits that contribute to likability include, here we go, authenticity. Right? And that kind of goes with the show. And that really resonated with me. Being genuine and true to yourself attracts others.
Yeah.
Right. If you're authentic, right? If I go out in the right event, go out in a 3-piece suit, right? And this is on myself. People will be like, "Fat man in a little suit," or whatever that song was, right?
Oh, come on.
I don't have one that fits. And then empathy, right? And we always talk about empathy. Understanding and relating to others' feelings, right, will create a deeper connection. And that's that same thing I said about, whether that's classical music or whatever that may be. If we're actually empathetic, right, to people, I think that's felt. And that does make you more likable. It's not fake, but it makes you more likable. When you come into I don't want to be that person when I walk through a door or I turn the aisle in Costco or Walmart that people go, "Oh, I'm going the other way."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I just don't want that feeling, right? Get back in my truck and go, I guess they don't like me.
Yeah.
And active listening to a person. And I've really tried hard on that, because obviously I like to talk. And my wife used to call me, because we read to our kids the book called Interrupting Chicken. Right. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. It's where the chicken just interrupts all the time. Right. And so they used to call me Interrupting Chicken until and it's kind of like the one-up thing, right? Somebody's saying something, they have a great win, and then the next person has to one-up it. They can't let them just celebrate. Yeah. And, I'll admit, it took me a long time, because I like to get in the conversation. But now I'm trying to sit back and listen, take in what somebody else has to say, and actually, I'll put it this way, honor them that way. Right? This is about them. When you're talking, Kelly, I just want to stop, right? Or VJ, I want to stop. I want to let you talk. This is what you're talking about. So, and that's it. So I'll end with: be yourself, show genuine interest, and find common ground with somebody. And I think that'll make you likable.
Yeah, no, so, I love the topic, Colin. Like I'm like you in terms of I try to interrupt people as first, because I want to be part of the conversation, right? So I'm learning that. I love the topic, and in terms of engaging with people, and you have to be likable kind of thing. It is not a pressure thing for anyone hearing. It's not a pressure thing. I mean, the way I see it, you don't have to walk on eggshells when you're actually interacting with people. Just be genuine, like you said, just be authentic. And if you can break the ice sooner, I think everyone are looking to break ice sooner, right? When you're meeting a new person, they have their facades, and everyone are looking to break their ice sooner. And talk about reality. I mean, if you're stuck in an event or something like that, "Oh, I can't wait to get out of this event. I mean, it's so slow." I mean, talk facts. If it's really slow, say that. And I think people would appreciate that. And like I said, I think authenticity goes a long way. It's no pressure actually to be likable. Just be yourself, smile, and be authentic. I think that goes a long way in for people to immediately start liking you. I mean, that's my 1 cent, I guess. So,
and I'll interject here. If anybody, if we still have people listening, if not, we'll just keep talking anyway.
All 7 people.
Anybody, if you want to chime in on the chat as well, anytime you have a comment or a question, you know what, our chat line is open. So please feel free to comment, and I'll pass it on.
VJ, What do you got for us, brother?
Yeah, today I want to talk about something. I mean, like, I'm passionate about like innovation and aspiration and people trying to do and help do better things for the humanity. I mean, the moment I mentioned few names, there is like it's like instantly like, oh no, I cannot. Like Trump is one such person, right? I think people understand that. Elon Musk was the man of the year, Time Man of the Year in 2021. Right? I mean, like this person, I mean, like he was born in South Africa and came to Canada with a struggling mother and then like did all, I mean, when he came to US, some facts are like, all these are facts. When he came to US, I think he had less than $2,000 and 2 suitcases full of books. That's all he had. Today, I don't know what he's worth. He's probably 300 plus billion worth. And what is happening to him? I don't know. I mean, in terms of likability, I don't know. He seems to have a huge following. 220 million people almost follow him.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of hate. I've posted about it multiple times. Every time I see hate, guys, like hate is always some kind of propaganda. Someone is funding it. Okay. And then it's because there's only 2 things I'm realizing, Colin and Kelly. Like, I think there are a group of people who are like pro-life and there are a group of people who are entirely opposite. Like, it's like destruction, death, and everything, right? I mean, for anyone trying to go destroy a car or a Tesla, right? Try creating one. That's a challenge, right? Try creating one. That's a real challenge. And what all this man has created. I was in Las Vegas last year. I was in the Las Vegas Loop, the underground, the boring company that created the underground tunnel that connects between the Vegas LVCC between the east and the west. It's beautiful, actually. You have to, if you haven't been there, try that. Las Vegas Loop, it's wonderful. I mean, the kind of I'm just going to list down the companies, the Neuralinks, the SpaceX. I mean, he just brought a few people from the space station yesterday.
Wow.
Right? I mean, they were stuck there. They were supposed to be there for a week, but they were stuck there for like months together.
Yeah.
Right? This is what this man is doing, and all he gets is like hate. I see where that is coming from. He's trying to dig in terms of like the fraud and the corruption. And if it keeps going on, guys, I mean, like for Canada or anyone, if it keeps going on, the kind of corruption, it's dangerous for any country. Yeah. Because like the untold, unchecked power, it is dangerous. What he's trying to do with the Department of Government Efficiency, aka DOGE, I think it needs to be done. I think one such organization needs to exist for every other country. I mean, I see that's where the hate has begun in terms of like when he started digging in, people are trying to distract him with so many other things. I'm just going to share a couple videos. I'm coming here with receipt, guys. I mean, like I'm going to share a really positive thing and also like what's going on out here, right? So I want to share this piece first so you see what it is for what it is. So you see this clip here? Yeah. Are you able to see my screen? Yeah. These are astronauts coming back from space yesterday, and SpaceX posted it. And this is real. I mean, they brought like four astronauts back from the space, right? And let me share one more thing, which is like the exact opposite. And Elon commented on it. I'm going to play this clip for you guys. And this is like Tim Walz is the, I don't know if you recognize who this guy is. He's the former vice presidential candidate, I guess.
Saying on my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. Saying on my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So, and if you own one, we're not blaming you. You can take dental floss and pull the Tesla thing off, and take out. Just telling you. Saying on my phone, I don't know. Some of you know this.
And Elon like clapped back, saying that sometimes when I need a little boost, I look at JD Vance portrait in the White House and thank the Lord. I mean, like that's what he said. I mean, he's literally cheering for the stock going down. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've known how the organizations basically like structure the portfolio and things like that for 401k. I'm sure like every organization in the US pretty much has Tesla stock on it, on 401k. Yeah. Right. And the past VP is basically rooting for the company to go down. I mean, some facts about this company is like, this is probably one of the only car manufacturing company that has made a profit in the last like 100 years. There have been like hundreds of companies that have shut down, and Colin, you know that industry better than anyone else. And like, Tesla was probably one of the only car manufacturing company to make a profit. Like GM was very close to bankruptcy. I think they also closed some of their centers here in Canada, and Ford, they dropped many of their models, right? So, I mean, like, this is an American company. I mean, for once, I think what happened with the whole thing is, I don't know if anyone is here. I've said that in Authentic Hustle before. Elon, his voting pattern is he has voted for Obama, Hillary, and Biden. And what happened sometime around COVID or around the time is like there was a huge electric EV summit. The largest EV summit happened in DC, and the companies that were invited were like Ford and a few others who have made like 100 cars or 300 cars, whereas Tesla had already launched thousands of cars on EV. And what puzzles me is like the whole thing that they stand for, the green thing and all that they call for. And this guy is actually doing it with this electric vehicles and the Tesla battery, the Tesla home powered batteries and whatnot, right? And I don't know what's really going on. It's beyond hypocrisy, guys. It's beyond stupidity. Yeah. It's like you cannot celebrate destruction. I want to leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay, well, my question is this: do you think that this would be happening if it was a Democrat? Right? Like, let's just say that the same thing. The Democrats got in, they created Doge, they hired Elon to do this, right? Is it the job, or is it who he tied his horse to?
Yeah, I mean, like, this was never a problem before. I mean, okay, best example of that, like someone told me this example from Vancouver, BC. The Teslas in Vancouver, they have like basically put a sticker on their Tesla. Okay, this Tesla was bought before the election.
I know a guy who has a Tesla Cybertruck, and it's probably they look freaking awesome. Like, I literally was looking at it yesterday, and I was like, this thing is so flipping cool. And he's like, dude, but everywhere I go, I get like 30 middle fingers. Everybody hates me. And I'm like, man, like, it's just so weird to have one of the coolest looking vehicles on the road and just have everybody hate it. Why? Because it's popular to hate it right now.
well, see, here's the mainstream thing that I touched on earlier. You can be put on a pedestal and crucified at the same time, in the same day, almost in the same conversation, right? And I've had that argument. Obviously, my business is greatly affected by the tariffs, which we touch on quite a bit. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to look at. I'll look at the delivery, not the person doing it. I like I've said before, I wish we had a leader, and maybe we've got a leader now in place, I guess. We just want somebody that's gonna that's like, if I'm an employee, right? I want my boss to stand up for me. Right? Yes. I want somebody to follow, right? And I want that leader to say, follow me, I'm right behind you, right? Like I'm out here, but I'm also backing you up. Right. And I think that's super important. And what's happening, like I have, it's a methodology that's being followed. And unfortunately, what we see is what's in the mainstream media. That's all we see. Right. We don't see the cultivation happening to make these things come to fruition. And we never will. Right. So we get the mainstream media, and then you get a Tim Waltz there doing that, right? Thinking he didn't win. He forgets he didn't win. So that didn't work before. It's not working now. But they continue to go down that road, and that's where I'm saying I gotta, like, my political beliefs or whatever. They change a few times a week now, and I'm not saying right to left.
I know.
But they do, right? And I think it's healthy, and because I'm starting to see through other people's eyes as well. Right, like the big picture here, and how can I don't even, nobody knows what's going on. Yeah. Right. But I think the healthy thing is for me to be able to look at situations and go, how is this affecting me? Yeah. Right. How is this affecting the people around me? Right. Who was it? I talked to this morning. A friend of mine had some health concerns recently. And I said, how are you making out? And he says, well, I woke up today. I feel good. And the sky is blue. That's what he said. And he said, so far, so good. Right. He has a very large business. He's got a lot going on. Many things are affected, no different than anybody else. Yeah. But due to his current circumstance, that's what he's worried about. Right. Yeah. So I didn't quickly spiral down into a tariff talk. Right. ooh, there's a new tariff in town. I heard that one, right? And,
Yeah.
and I'm not going down that road, right? I'm like, let's concentrate on that for a second. And hey, I hope you feel better. I hope things get better, right?
Yeah.
I think we let the entire world, because of social media, we're now feeling what's going on in Russia or Ukraine or the Middle East or United States or Eastern or Western Canada, right? Where all this stuff is just pushing in on us and we're imploding, right? We allow ourselves to implode. And I think that's very, very, very unhealthy.
Yeah. Well, I think what it kind of comes down to is we have to remember it's not just about sides, right? I think at the end of the day, people look at it and they're like, in Canada, we're either conservative or we're liberal, right? Or we're NDP, somewhere in the middle, which might as well be liberal light, right? But the point is that it's not that. And somewhere along the lines, we forgot that. What you need to really look at, and maybe this was a mistake of the American people, right? It wasn't necessarily about Republican or Democrat. What we need to look at when we're voting for anything is what are the policies? What are the policies that these people are putting forward, right? And we have to elect people based on their policies, and we have to hold people accountable to their policies. That is what we should care about. Not necessarily do you fit into the conservative camp, do you fit into the liberal camp, or Democrat or Republican. What do you value? And which policies align with what you value, I think, and then hold them accountable. If they win, damn right, they better enact the policies that they ran on, right? And maybe that is exactly what's happening in the United States right now, but nobody paid any attention to what those policies were.
Yeah, so Vijay, I was going to say, I love that you played that video because I watched that. I was kind of, watching yesterday, following it closely. They're going to start coming down, how fast that thing is going, and they're going to land somewhere in off the coast of Florida, right?
Right.
And honestly, I thought to myself, what am I worried about? Like, honestly, like these people, and then it showed them hit the water, right? And they're floating in this little capsule, and and then they're going to get out, and then they're shuttling them, to a hospital in Houston or something, right? And they're going to monitor them, and they got to learn to walk again, and all this stuff. And I'm like, holy, like wow. And then I thought about, I listened to Trump talk about the genius that brought him home and that type of thing. And you know what it is? Like seriously, like why is the world missing this fact that they were up there for 8 months and they brought him back? And they brought him back, right? These are real human beings. The only thing and it doesn't matter, but I'm always like, there was 4 people that came back, but there's only 2 names in the news always.
Yeah.
Right. And that doesn't matter. I just something that's in my head. But I did think about, like, if we talk about Musk, right? I'm like, okay, for me to say, oh, his mannerisms are weird because that's what social media has told me they are. Right. I would really not want to come off this show today and someone say, oh, Harms, like he's a weird guy. His hands are flailing all over. His eyes, one's going this way, one's looking straight. I don't know. Right.
Yeah. That's not the characteristics you want to be judged on.
But this is what we're judging people on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or he jumps around on a stage. He was excited. Right. They won. Like, what do I look like when I jump?
Yeah.
So, but that's that same thing is how come we can't have, like, I'll use the village people, right? Everybody's different. Why can't we just accept that this is what's happening? And instead of, beating him down and beating down his stock and being happy that somebody's failing, that might be the thing that is really getting to me is, do we really feel better when somebody else fails? Like, I don't care what the circumstances. I don't want to. I seriously don't want to. And even if that's political, I don't. Right. I don't want the name calling. Right. I think it's childish and I think it's ridiculous, and I have a hard time voting, even if that's the side of the line I'm on. Yeah. I'm like, could you just stop? Like, you've never talked about what you're going to do. All you tell me is what somebody else is going to do or continue to do. And I'll use Canadian politics right now is, I said, okay, well, at least we have a leader, right? Somebody's in place. There's somebody can actually diplomatically have a conversation and make a decision if need be. Before we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Right.
So what does the opposition, and I'll say that I think I'm a part of, immediately does is comes up with a new stupid name, right? Oh, let's call them this. Oh, let's axe the tax. Oh, you know what? I know you can rhyme. That's really cute. Why is that a platform? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But, use it this way. Say you're gonna erase $1 billion of carbon tax that's being billed out to people. What are you going to replace it with? I don't know. Now you have a shortfall. That's a deficit, right? I don't agree with it, but I'd like to know your plan as opposed to making up yet a new name for them, right? It's just where we're at right now, right? Like we're really dumbing down society, right? Like it's almost like degenerating. Like it's like seriously, like let's elevate ourselves and become better and lift the world up with us as opposed to dragging it down. And that's where, like with Musk, I agree, it's his mannerisms. Is that how maybe I should start acting like that? I don't know. Right. But I don't want my likability to be tied to that.
Right. Yeah, it's also a blip in a moment, right? Like, here's the thing. When you've done so many incredible things, and like Elon Musk or hate Elon Musk, he's done some pretty incredible things. The reality is we have a private space program that rivals NASA. He did it.
It's better than NASA.
We have electric vehicles. He started the whole thing. I'm not exactly a fan in Alberta of electric vehicles. I think they're it's not the right climate, but for the right climate, it's an amazing vehicle. And they're cool, right? Like they're cool. Like he took electric vehicles, he made them cool. You talked about the Boring Company, Vijay. He's done some cool, weird things with that company. He wants to build essentially what was that maglev train that works in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Hyperloop. Yeah.
Call it whatever you will. The guy is doing pretty incredible things for humanity. Period. I can see why they chose him to do this job. Maybe he didn't even want to do Doge. Does anyone even questioned that? Because on one hand, I wouldn't want to do it. But on the other hand, maybe he was the only one who could.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, I mean, the media lens, I think the media lens is not working at all anymore. Yeah. And we can prove that with numbers, with facts and statistics. I mean, CNN tried to launch an exclusive Prime program like Prime Video. I think they spent close to $300 million and they shut it down in 32 days.
Wow.
Just about a month. And then the viewership has reduced drastically. And people want to be on a podcast rather be on a primetime 9 p.m. news these days, right? And that's where the media lens is, because for a long time, they've told the society how to think, and people are tired about how being told how to think. All right. They can think for themselves. They're adults, right? They can think for themselves. I think that's where people come from. I mean, one thing about Elon I want to mention is something that stuck from my father is he said, you always need to be grateful and have the gratitude for people. I mean, that he have said it so many times. I think that kind of stuck with me in a way. There's two fork in the road moments that I'd like to bring up is one is Elon buying Twitter for $44 billion. And the other one is the incident in the Butler, Pennsylvania, right? So I think the reason I even brought Elon is because I think just pure gratitude for that person. He didn't spend $44 billion to make a profit. He didn't do that. So just pure gratitude that he gave back to humanity, and it is not a small amount at all by any means. I'm not even bringing him just because he created Tesla or SpaceX. Yes, these are great things, but I think he has done great things for humanity without anyone asking for it. I think that is something that needs appreciation and not this kind of distraction. What's going on today?
I agree.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's a good place to leave off today's show, guys. It was a great show, and I look forward to the next one.
All right, thanks, fellas.
See you later, hustlers.
Hey, see you, everyone.